Hello, I'm Jack Silver, former chairman of the board of Rural Water District Number 4 in Mays County. On January 1st of this year, I was contacted by Rural Water District 4 board member and former chairman of the board, Mr. Clyde Allred. He wanted me to authorize taking our water operator, Travis Couch, to an auction to purchase a used Trackhoe. I assumed if I authorized this, he would buy the Trackhoe for the district and not make any profit on the transaction. However, I did not have authorization from the board, so after conferring with the vice chairman of the board and the secretary-treasurer of the board, I told Mr. Allred we would have to skip this auction and get approval from the board before proceeding. Mr. Allred said he would go to the auction anyway, and if he found a good deal, he would buy it. He said if the water district didn't want it, he would sell it to someone else, quote, "as that is what I do." Later in the week, I learned Mr. Allred did go to the sale, and that he asked our water operator to attend the sale with him. However, he told Mr. Couch not to let us know he asked him to attend the auction, which was held on district time. As you will see from the following video, Mr. Allred purchased a Trackhoe and came to the next board meeting prepared to sell it to the district. In fact, you will note that he had prepared board member Johnny Dodson with the details on what a good deal this purchase would be for the board. In the video, Mr. Allred sits at the end of the table with Mr. Dodson to his left or the right side of the video. My back is to the camera, but you can see I am moderating the meeting. We got the Trackhoe on here.
You know Trackhoe, sir.
And I guess
We've got a Trackhoe?
no, we've been talking about getting a Trackhoe.
We know where there's a good one.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think of?
I think it's a sweet little machine. Be right, just what we need, I reckon.
It's worth the money, I'll tell you that. It's an 05, isn't it?
What is it, Clyde? You went to the sale and
JD 27C. BTS.
John Deere.
John Deere?
Feel like it's size.
05 model.
Take your.
Got how many hours on it?
Just barely rolled over on 1,400 hours.
Like
Really?
new.
3, I believe.
Really?
Like new.
Whoa.
How many dollars? The number's what's right. 16, was it?
14,750.
15, 750, yeah. That's what you told me.
It's not
14,
hot, is it?
750.
You go up and touch it, it burns you.
How'd you like running it, Travis? Did you like
No,
it?
it's smooth.
Tight?
Yeah. It's
Where's this at?
just a little jewel, I think.
to Clyde.
Clyde.
And I don't know if you can legally buy it from me, but if you can't and you decide you want it, you can buy it from Joe Barrett.
Joe who?
Joe Barrett, my neighbor.
Here's a picture of it. If anybody hadn't seen it or we're all good. That clean picture. That's just some of the other ones I pulled up. I didn't find any of them really in that range.
I don't think you'll find one any cheaper.
Yeah.
No,
Where'd
that's
you
a
get
good
this
price.
one
One about the same price as in Virginia, so you got to figure.
Was it locally owned and operated around here, or?
All I know is it was a rental.
Rental company. Probably come from RSC. They sell a lot of stuff. United Rentals
Came
bought
from up
RSC.
in South Dakota where it flooded. Remember that? Yeah.
United Rentals bought RSC. Give $200 billion for it.
Holy smokes.
What's it,
2003.
So this has
2003.
blade and it's got auxiliary hydraulics on it.
It's a different year there, but
That's
it's the
03.
same
No,
machine.
that's a different one.
Well, they're just like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
they
just
look just alike.
Oh, that's a different one, but that's a 5. He's got one.
Yeah, mine's
Yeah, I think
That's a 2005
It's
deal.
an 05.
The only thing I saw wrong with it would probably have to buy another bucket. I mean, it's got a 12-inch, but you probably want a little bigger bucket.
Oh, it's not because that bucket's wore out. It just needs
You
to
can
be
buy
worn.
Oh, it's a good bucket. I mean,
two 30-inch for it,
Yeah, up to
but I
30.
don't think you would want
No.
one. I don't
Maybe
think you'd want one over 8.
16 or 18.
16 or 18.
Yeah.
And it's got a quick attach bucket.
Wow.
That's a nice looking rig.
It's nice. It's got auxiliary hydraulics where you can run a little hammer on it or whatever, boring machine.
It's also got the extra swing where you can swing over and get
Yeah.
right next to a building and something.
The whole thing swings or just the boom swing?
Yeah,
Both ways.
Oh, neat.
It's a nice machine.
you can bring it over and dig right down the side of the foundation if you wanted to.
Need a motion?
Yeah, I think we need a motion.
I'll make a motion if we buy it. I think it's a hot deal.
Gotta get
Hot,
used tomorrow.
maybe too hot.
Wait a minute.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? That's an all.
When we come get it. I'm ready to use it.
Go get it.
We got stuff we
Why don't, I mean,
I guess it's diesel, ain't it, Clyde?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's three-cylinder.
Three-cylinder diesel?
Diesel.
It's-
It's Isuzu,
Yeah.
Isuzu diesel.
Oh, that's.
Ours
Yes, that's what I got my pickup out here.
Chevrolet.
I've heard
That's
it
what
get
Chevrolet
three
runs.
hundred thousand
Oh,
miles.
they're good.
Oh, yeah.
Out of it.
yeah, that's a nice
You
unit.
gonna like that over that other?
Oh, yeah.
Gonna keep the old backhoe, aren't you,
Oh, yeah.
Jack?
Yes, yeah, we
Keep
need to
the
keep
old-
the old backup, yeah.
In case you have to have it.
Load out trucks or something
Yeah.
at some point.
Well, we're just
Yeah.
gonna use this one to sit out here so people will see it.
Yes.
Travis will continue to use the old.
I'll
one.
bring the crane out here, we'll put a pipe there and set it up on it.
Someone need to make sure.
Case.
Now, this cover,
We want people to know we're first class,
Make sure there's insurance.
but we don't want Travis to get too swell
this
headed.
cover on the
You
right
said
hand
about
side
insured?
is fiberglass, and
Yeah.
it does have a crack or two in it.
I ain't never seen one that didn't.
No. It's pretty typical.
It's a nice machine, it's worth the money, guys.
Yeah, it is.
You ain't
It's a
gonna
good
beat that price.
And I don't see any reason why we can't pay Clyde for
I
it,
don't
because he
either.
went there to buy it
He
for
was looking out
us,
for us, wasn't he?
from the sale and all.
I didn't have y'all's authority to do it, that's
But-
what I do. and
We ought to
I was gonna
pay-
Buy it anyway.
But
We ought to
That's
pay
fine.
mileage too. Cause he went over there to,
Make a motion.
It's
I'll
done.
make a motion. Is it?
No, I mean, it's done, he bought it. Pay him.
you know,
I don't know what mileage would be on that.
just add the mileage on it.
Yeah, I'll make a motion, to pay mileage over there and
About
back.
70 miles over to
Yeah, it's
support.
put away.
You
Okay.
had a flat on the way.
Yeah, I had a flat on the trailer.
And 4 chili dogs.
And we need to have a second to pay the mileage.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
I just added,
Oh,
I just
okay.
added to.
Okay.
Got a new hole.
There are a few things I would like you to remember from the video. First, the board believed Mr. Allred was not making a profit on the Trackhoe. You noticed that he charged the district $15,750 for the piece of equipment, but believing that he was not making any money on it, the board even paid Mr. Allred mileage for his trip to the auction. Later, I'm sure you noticed that Mr. Allred said he thought it might be illegal for him to sell the Trackhoe to the district, but if it was, they could buy it from his neighbor. The board didn't think this transaction illegal because the members believed there was no profit being made on the transaction. In other words, they believed they were purchasing the equipment for the same price Mr. Allred purchased it from the auction. You'll notice the board didn't talk about Mr. Allred's proposal to buy it from his neighbor, other than for me to say there was no problem with buying the Trackhoe from him. Because I believed it, we were buying it for the price Mr. Allred paid. All the district would need was the invoice from the auction company showing the price paid for the Trackhoe. Later, the office manager, Laura Whalen, would ask Mr. Allred for the invoice. But before we get to that point, I'd like to propose a question. If it was illegal to purchase the Trackhoe from Mr. Allred for some reason that the board didn't understand, then wouldn't the board be joining Mr. Allred in conspiracy to defraud the district if it knowingly purchased the Trackhoe from Mr. Allred's neighbor, while knowing the money would be going to him? Following the meeting, the district's office manager asked Mr. Allred for a copy of the invoice from the auction company. Mr. Allred said he wouldn't give her a copy of that invoice, but that he would give her an invoice from himself. Later, I would learn from the office staff that they knew Mr. Allred was making a profit on the Trackhoe. In fact, they had obtained a copy of the invoice from the auction showing the actual price paid by Mr. Allred. As you can see from this invoice, Mr. Allred was charging the district $2,250 more than he had paid for the Trackhoe. This is a clear violation of his fiduciary responsibility to the district, and Mr. Allred knew this. Why else would he say we could buy it from his neighbor if it was illegal to purchase it from him? Upon learning Mr. Allred had violated his fiduciary responsibility to the district, I immediately notified the district's auditor and legal counsel. I was told this was a serious infraction we needed to undo immediately. I called a special meeting of the Rural Water District No. 4 Board of Directors for the evening of January 23, 2012. You are looking at an actual copy of the minutes from that meeting. Since Mr. Allred had previously resigned from the board, he wasn't invited, but he showed up anyway. He told the board he knew we were meeting about the Trackhoe and that I was telling the board half-truths. When the board asked him for a copy of the invoice from the auction company, he initially said he didn't have it. Upon further questioning, he admitted he probably did have it, but didn't know where it was. When asked how much he paid for the Trackhoe, he said he didn't remember. But when shown an actual copy of the invoice from the auction company, he admitted it was correct. Mr. Allred eventually agreed to take the Trackhoe back and to refund the district's money, although he never acknowledged any wrongdoing. The meeting was concluded, and you would expect this to be the end of the situation. But you would be wrong.